Sister Judith Nabakoba's tops evictions, over 1,000 in Mityana. Suspect in the attempted murder of General Katumba Wamala denied bail. In Kenya, Kenyatta lifts curfew as Kenya marks Mashuja's celebrations. And lastly, unveil torch relay plan for 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
Thank you so much for joining us once again. News Tonight at 10 begins. Government projects to spend 20 trillion Ugandan shillings to finance the gaps identified in the second report on implementation of Uganda Africa Peer Review Mechanism National Program of Action for July 2019 to 2021. While officiating at the closure of the national validation of the report at Serena Hotel in Kampala, the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Jacob Olanya, cautioned the National Governance Council for APRM to validate things that affect the person down in the community.
Uganda has spent 28.8 trillion shillings to finance the National Plan of Action for the implementation of the programs of the period 2019-2021. The four arms of government have held a national validation to review the second report on implementation of the Uganda APRM National Program of Action 2019-2021. The thematic areas are political governance, economic governance and management, corporate governance and sustainable socio-economic development from the last review. The judiciary, in the period under review, boasts of improvement.
The judiciary installed a total of 5 sets of video conferencing systems. With this video conferencing system, court cases can be handled remotely, with the court and the parties submitting online funding. The budget of the judiciary in the year 2020-2021 was 0.4% of the national budget, whereas that of Parliament, the sister arm of government, was 1.5%, which is 3.75 times higher than that of the judiciary.
The judiciary is also assured of government commitment to increasing their budget to 800 billion shillings by financial year 2024-25.
That is happening. In fact, this financial year, we raised the budget from 180 billion shillings to now 360 billion shillings. That's a doubling of the budget. And we agreed that in the medium term, we should be able to raise this budget to 800 billion shillings. So we hope in the next 2-3 years, we should be having a much better judiciary.
The report indicates that there is a challenge of cybercrime and corruption aided by technology.
The adoption of technology by financial services, such as banks, has also raised Uganda's cyber attacks and also exposing customers to quite a bit of loss on their deposits and savings through online fraudsters. Similarly, the telecommunications companies have faced a number of mobile money frauds and hacks.
The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, questioned the peer review, emphasizing that they should ask questions that affect the common man.
APRM interrogate whether measurable impact is delivered for our people, or are we just on output determined by how much money we have given them? Is that the basis of assessment?
According to the government chief whip, Thomas Tayebwa, Uganda is willing to be reviewed because it helps to bridge the gap between policy and practice.
Findings and recommendations of this report will help inform the monitoring, evaluation, and strategizing of the different government programs and policies that I superintend over. It will also help us to continue with the good practices identified and to improve where challenges are cited.
The report will be handed over to the President to present it during discussions of heads of state in February next year in Addis Ababa. I'm Nafka Farida and Stephen Kalisha in Kampala.
The President of Uganda, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, has directed for the immediate sell-off of Kisembi mines, which has taken almost 40 years without operation. Through the Vice President, Major Jessica Alupo, President has directed the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development to expedite the bidding process to get potential investors.
Since 1982, Kisembi mines in Kasese district has been under care and maintenance without adding on the nation's economy. The Vice President, Major Jessica Lupo, under the directive of the President, has taken on the assessment tour of the mines and directed relevant authorities to work on the bidding process of selling off the mines for revitalization.
Expect the Ministry of Energy to advertise as soon as possible. Advertise for the investor to come and take over the management and the operationalization of Kisembi mines. So, Ministry of Energy, in the next 2 weeks, will expect you to advertise. Please let it be transparent.
The broken infrastructure in the mines is worrying, which requires the government to invest in rebuilding to incentivize any potential money injector.
Old equipment, the vacuum circuit breakers, those are the switchboards, and the biggest problem is excitation control, voltage control. So the excitation units that we have are quite old.
When the bridges are constructed by Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Works and Transport, the river now will be dammed enough to follow its original route so that it does not affect the communities and also people who may be wishing to cross the river from.
The current management of Kisembi mines demands areas of over 2 billion Uganda shillings, which the government will have to clear before giving away the mines.
I think this one is immediate, especially by the fact that these are people who are now like volunteers, taking care of those assets on behalf of government. By the time you are not paid for 12 months, 14 months, that is on the higher side. So one of the proposals that we will go and share with His Excellency the President is to find money to clear all those people, their areas.
The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, with the current management of the mines, headed to the presidential directive.
Our initial target will be to ensure we can tame the water, restore the waterways, and then build the necessary infrastructure as phase 1 as we prepare to attract that investor.
On the 11th of May 2019, President Yoweri Museveni directed the disposal of the mines, but the slow negotiation of contracts and uncertainty of the private sector investment in mines plus macroeconomic forecasts remain unchanged. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Now, the Criminal Division of the High Court has declined to grant bail to Yusuf Nyanzi, one of the suspects in an attempted assassination of General Edward Katumba Wamala and the murder of his daughter Brenda Nantongo and driver Haruna Pasano. The presiding judge, Paul Jagenda Mliwa, ruled that although he agrees with all the accused prayers, he could abscond bail.
Following his arrest in the attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala, the accused Yusuf Nyanzi filed an application in the Criminal Division of the High Court seeking to be released on bail. The presiding judge, Paul Gadenya Walimbwa, ruled in the application. Justice Walimbwa agreed with all the 4 sureties presented in court, but court declined to grant Yusuf Nyanzi bail.
In this case, the facts in favor of the applicant are that he is already on bail for 2 capital offences and was responding to his bail. However, there are facts against him in this case that may be indicative of the applicant being a flight risk. He is charged with a multiplicity of capital offences that all attract the death penalty as a maximum sentence. The chances of the applicant attempting to flee from justice are not minimal. The risks are substantial as the benefits of the applicant remaining to face trial pale against the benefits of escaping.
Justice Pogadenya's ruling, read by the Deputy Registrar, Criminal Division, Feston Senge, showed that court was of the view that the applicant is likely to jump bail.
That the applicant is likely to abscond given the grave nature of offences he's charged with and that he may interfere with investigations once released on bail. It is true that in considering whether to grant bail, court has to satisfy itself that the accused person is not a flight risk and will be available to attend his trial. The applicant denied being the one named in the amnesty certificate. However, I have no doubt that based on the available information on the record, the person named in the amnesty certificate is the applicant. Given the negative antecedents of the applicant and risks attendant to releasing him on bail, I'm convinced that the applicant has not made out a case to be granted bail. The applicant's application therefore fails.
The accused's lawyer, Geoffrey Tuliamsima, voted to file another application in the International Crime Division.
Unfortunately, the court turned its eyes off what is primary, it turns its eyes off what is vital, and turns its eyes off what is legal, and went to the abscondment. You know, in law, if one is to abscond, he must have no substantial sureties. 2, he must have no place of abode. But if realized that Nyanzi has been appearing on bond, on bail, diligently for the first 2 offences, the one of Chigundu and the one of Katumba, we are going to file another bail application. We shall not go for review because we know now the mind of this judge. We shall file another bail application, this time round to High Court ICD. Why? Because Nyanzi, they added more other charges to terrorism onto him.
In another development, Nakawa Magistrates Court did not hear the case where 8 suspects are accused of attempted assassination of General Edward Katumba Wamala. The accused's legal team failed to turn up in court. Prosecution, led by Counsel Brenda Chomgisha, informed court that inquiries are still ongoing. Magistrate Ponsiano Odori, on this, adjourned the matter to the 14th of November 2021, when the case will resume for mention. Natongo Rebecca, Nama Monte Deborah, UBC News.
Now, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution will handle over 700 sexual, gender-based violence-related cases in a period of 45 days. The Assistant Director of Public Prosecution, Charles Elem Ogwal, told the media that the process will commence on 25th of October 2021 to deal with case backlog.
Reports on violation of children's rights and abuse of human rights take 70% of cases reported in courts of law and Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. It is the 4th time the Office of DPP is coming out to attend to the sexual gender-based violence cases. This time the hearing of such related cases will be in over 14 districts starting next week.
Sessions will be conducted in the High Courts at Kampala, at Kasese, Masaka, Mbarara, Tororo, Iganga, Moroto, Gulu, Adjumani. During these sessions, special consideration will be made by the prosecution to ensure we conduct our work in a victim-centered and trauma-informed manner. We don't want to re-traumatize witnesses, especially child witnesses.
The Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, Charles Elem Ogwal, says COVID-19 there has been a dramatic increase in sexual gender-based violence and other related forms of abuse of rights amongst girls and women.
There are other cases which actually impact so much on gender-related issues of children and ladies, women. Cases of land inheritance, land fraud, land fights, and it can also be related to murder.
Samali Wakoli, in charge of gender in the Office of the DPP, urged victims of sexual gender-based violence to work with their office for a quick justice.
So we'll have some cases that we are going to handle through the plea bargain process, and then those that we are going to handle through full hearings. And at the end of the day, we can sit down and make an assessment of how many cases have we been disposing of and also what else can we do.
A number of experimental items that include dolls, sanitary pads, toothpaste, among others, have been set aside to bring clarity on how the victims, especially children, were abused. This is also to fasten court proceedings.
Kati bw'omuwadde oleeno yakulaga bulungi lwakuba eno yeeraga bulungi ntono mukyala eno yo nevaayo ng'erina ebintu birungi ebiraga ntono ki mwami kati yajja kugamba nti ono yali omwami yajja n'ansanga weyansanga n'ankwata n'agira atya n'aneebakako bw'ati kati ye bw'aba alagirira bw'ati kooti yeeba enootinga ekigenda buki.
Ever since hearing joint cases started in 2018, over 2,000 cases have been cleared in the courts of law. Although the DPP's office says there is no sensitization on how to attend to such cases, UNFP and UN Women are funding hearing to the sexual gender-based violence cases.
Point that the UN Women is supporting a consultant to explore all these that we have done to then help us come to a decision on what kind of framework we are going to have. As Uganda, do we need a special court? Do we need specially trained actors, or do we need special facilities to enable a more holistic, effective, and efficient and faster disposal of SGBV cases, I think.
Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
And in the Red Card movement, leaders from the People's Front for Transition, a political pressure group led by retired Colonel Dr. Kisembi, have launched a dialogue campaign to traverse the country and a 24 detailed plan book containing what they allege are the problems affecting Ugandans. Dr. Kisembi, however, cautioned those against the formation of the People's Front for Transition and asked them to consult about the agenda of its formation.
Today was prompted by what we have observed, especially since the launch of the front, by different sections of our people focusing on the wrong things. Some focusing on organization, crisis in which Ugandans live today. And so we thought that it was very important that we crystallize this crisis for everybody to see and to discuss whether there is a crisis indeed or whether there is no crisis. Asante sana.
The Ministry of Public Service has inducted members on the Parliamentary Committee of Public Service and Local Government how the sector operates. This induction is aimed at transforming public service and training them on how the ministry operates. The exercise was carried out at the National Records Center and Archives in Kampala.
The need to improve service delivery offered to citizens calls for a need to induct members of Parliament on the Public Service Committee of the 11th Parliament. This will equip the committee members with knowledge to offer a satisfactory service to every citizen.
It is necessary for them to interact with the technical people in those ministries and agencies so that they become fully acquainted with the nitty-gritty in those agencies. This enables them, gives them a strong platform for them now to go and articulate some of the issues regarding these agencies in Parliament effectively. And in that way, really, they help in the general performance of these ministries and agencies.
Meanwhile, a conceptual framework on rationalization is ready and the ministry is awaiting on the cabinet to issue the report.
This rationalization is going on. It's going on and it is on course. The conceptual framework has been done, and all the various discussions involved are going on. We are, I think, next month going to go to cabinet with a report.
The induction will help the committee members in the budget planning.
Very soon we are going to get engaged in budget framework papers and later on ministerial policy statements and the budget processes. So it is very important that the members should be equipped with the basic mandates of the Ministry of Public Service.
This will also improve on their performance.
And to come out now much more knowledgeable on the operations and the challenges are being encountered by the ministry, so that as Parliament, as the Oversight Committee, can see what kind of corrective actions we can take.
The induction is organized by the Public Service Commission at the Ministry of Public Service. Irene Faith Nantongo, UBC News.
Now, with TIB Assessment, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Katie Lamaro, said that the ministry is planning to restructure the TVET delivery and assessment system. She was opening the third phase of TVET assessors at Uganda Industrial Research Institute. In the reforms, the TVET skills assessment bodies like Uganda Business and Technical Examinations Board and Directorate on Industrial Training will merge and carry out an integrated assessment program.
The ongoing reforms in the education sector is geared at merging different departments to better service delivery. The mini restructuring of the Directorate of Higher Education with focus on the TVET training with one assessment body for all formal and non-formal skills.
Government is doing so through policy, legal regulatory reforms pertaining to TVET. Once the laws have been passed, these laws are in consultation, at consultation stage, TVET delivery will have been streamlined. We would also like to see the biggest part of TVET, both training and assessment, placed in practical aspects of trainees' passion so that graduates are more productive.
This will harmonize training and assessment to make the graduates more relevant at the places of work.
The ministry is also reforming the entire TVET delivery and assessment system to attract significant involvement of the industry, reset the learner's mindset, and promote TVET training anchored on established occupational standards.
The Executive Secretary, Uganda Business Technical Examinations Board, or NESMAS or YESIJE, says that 321 assessors have been trained and at the end of this training, the participants will be verified in the assessment processes.
The mandate of the board is to regulate, conduct and coordinate competence-based TVET assessment for credible awards. But the quality and the competences of TVET graduates is an interest of the industry to harness their productivity, innovativeness, and entrepreneurial acumen in the growing economy. Besides, the citizens should be self-reliant.
Executive Director, Uganda Industrial Research Institute, Professor Charles Kwesiga, told the meeting that the available technology is not yet favoring the much-needed strategy for development.
Without pertinent skills, without relevant skills, we are not going far. And so, let us take a reality check first of all. Everybody in the globe now believes that industrialization is the way to go if you want to modernize your society.
The third phase of assessors training had 138 participants from the training colleges and assessors from the industry.
In the area to fight corruption, the Inspectorate of Government will propose new strategies based on prevention to engage communities recover over 20 billion shillings lost to corruption annually. The Inspector General of Government, Betty Olive Kamia, says they will be sensitized on identifying people misusing public funds. She was meeting top European Union heads of mission in Kampala.
Engaging communities against corruption is among strategies to be used by the Inspectorate of Government. In a meeting with top European Union head of mission, Betty Kamia said communities are to be sensitized.
I know corruption because I've been into all these institutions. And corruption is not just in government. There is so much corruption in the private sector. The human resource officers recruit not the best people, but based on nepotism, on patronage, and on corruption. They buy air, they overprice products, they steal from the companies, and at the end of the day, all that makes our market a very expensive and not competitive market. So I really think that my experience in all those areas that I have served gives me a broader perspective, sitting in this chair now, sort of overseeing everybody else.
It is criminal for poor Ugandans to pay taxes for a few people to steal. Kamia informed the top European head of mission that Uganda does not fare well on the world scale of corruption.
The same resources now, some of them are going to be focusing on recruiting the population to join the war. And this is through sensitization. Like I said, if I tell you that what 20 billion can do for you, you should be able to want to fight so that the 20 billion does not end up in someone's pockets.
The Director Special Investigations, Joram Magezi, told the European Union head of mission that they managed to whistleblow the mismanagement of refugee funds in refugee settlements.
In case 1 of Arua, where investigations were completed and 3 officials were taken to court. 1 pleaded guilty and he has already paid the money, about 3,956,960. While the other 2, the cases are still ongoing. When you look at number 2, that is Mbarara case, also the person who was heading the region was already taken to court and the case is ongoing.
Dr. Patricia Oklia highlighted challenges of low staffing in the unit, poor internet connectivity and low levels of computer literacy affecting leaders and public officers during the declaration process.
The unit has made some considerable recoveries from fieldwork around the country. The future initiatives under this unit include: the funds can assist the unit to facilitate the tracing of the tainted property. Funds can be used to facilitate bailiffs who normally assist, especially when it comes to execution. Funds can also be used to assist the unit to continue pursuing debtors countrywide and payment of property management fees and payment of valuers and funding for specialized training in asset recovery, tracing and attachments for the technical team.
The head of top European head of mission delegation at Rio Pacifici commended the work of the inspectorate and supported the engagement of children in fighting corruption.
Maybe starting with the schools, maybe using champions, maybe using models, maybe using people who have higher chances to be understood and to be listened by the normal citizens. Of course, sometimes they listen to you, they don't listen to us for sure, but this is normal. This is normal. In our country, they should listen to us.
Permanent secretaries, chief administration officers and accounting officers of public institutions are to be engaged to strengthen their custodianship. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Grow
together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN Mobile Money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165*65# or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
Get vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175*94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy a 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175*94# to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175# and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Parents and guardians, this month of October, take all your children aged 15 years and below to the nearest health facility or outreach post for integrated child health days to receive a wide range of free services. The services will include immunization to protect them against killer yet vaccine-preventable diseases like measles, rubella, polio, diphtheria, whooping cough, pneumonia, meningitis, diarrhea, tetanus, hepatitis B, tuberculosis, and cancer of the cervix. Your child will also receive vitamin A and deworming tablets. Girls aged 10 years old and those who missed their second HPV vaccine dose will receive HPV vaccine to protect them against cancer of the cervix. Girls and women aged 15 to 49 years will also be immunized against tetanus and diphtheria. Due to polio outbreak in the region, every child under 5 years should be fully immunized as per the routine immunization schedule. Vaccines used for immunization are safe, effective and free and have been approved by the Ministry of Health and World Health Organization. Remember to follow all the COVID-19 prevention measures, including wearing a mask when in public, hand washing with water and soap, and keeping a distance of at least 2 meters from another person. Integrated Child Health Days, a healthy child, a happy family. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, World Health Organization, PATH, and partners.
Back from that short break. Now, a panel of 5 judges of the Constitutional Court will preside over a petition lawyer Hassan Malay Mabidizi filed against the Office of the Attorney General, objecting the rearrest and fresh charges of members of Parliament Mohamed Segirinya and Alan Sewenyana in Masaka Magistrates Court last month. Justice Chiborion Barishaki clarified during the conferencing of the matter on the 4 issues which this court will base the hearing of the petition.
As the petition is properly before the court, the Constitutional Court rules require that upon being served with the petition, the Attorney General had to respond within 7 days from service. Now, we served the Attorney General on 30th September 2021, but they responded on 8th. That is outside the 7 days. Again, they are required within 3 days to file a notice of address. They didn't do so. They also came on with it. So I'm saying their defense is out of time. It should be struck out, and then I proceed as one person. Another issue, they are claiming that my petition does not disclose questions for constitutional interpretation. That's why you are from issue number 2, that whether the petition discloses questions for constitutional interpretation. Then issue number 3 is the gist of the petition, whether the charging by the DPP and remanding by Masaka Chief Magistrate of Sewanyan and Segidinya on a new file arising from Masaka Bijambia is in contravention of the Constitution. That's the gist of the file. Of the petition to nullify the charging and remanding all the proceedings of Masaka, the actions of the DPP and then the actions of Masaka Chief Magistrate. Because I'm saying these two people contravene the Constitution. So the consequence of contravening the Constitution is nullification of whatever has been done. Secondly, I want the same court to nullify all the proceedings, and if they are still in prison, to release them permanently, to discharge them actually. If the DPP feels that Bwanika was murdered and the Sewanyan has to be charged, then he should amend the initial charge sheet to add on that person who died. And then I'm also asking for costs and damages.
We have any problem with that? Okay,
away from court and a little into the Employees Federation. Uganda Federation of Employers has shown concern over the increasing number of graduates without hands-on skills seeking for internship placements and jobs. At the launch of the partnership between institutions and employees in Kampala, the Executive Director, Federation of Employers, said that there is a gap and skills mismatch from the students they receive.
All the problems are coming from the fact that what is available within the training institutions is not what is in the real work.
Hands-on training for students remain a major challenge for a number of students seeking internship placements. The Executive Director, Federation of Uganda Employers, Douglas Opio, says the partnership of bringing together stakeholders will solve some challenges. Students show that there is skills mismatch, thus creating a gap.
We expect us to move to the next level. First, by bringing the employers and the training providers together today, we are hoping some of them will be able to enter into MOUs.
A principal at St. Isidore Technical Institute in Soroti, Aduto Beatrice Sarah, says they expect solutions from the meeting.
Employers will be engaged in the development of the training modules. In other words, we shall train the students in accordance to their requirements.
The Deputy Executive Secretary Examinations Management UBTEB says they are to engage the sector as they take lead in evolving in the world of work.
And as a result, as a board, as UBTEB, there are a number of things we are trying to do. One of them is to engage the sector skills councils, such that the private sector, the employers, take lead in line with the reforms.
Jane Nyiramchia, Andrew Sebira, UBC News.
Now over to Ibanda, where the Ministry of Veteran Affairs is meeting veterans in Ibanda District, Western Uganda, to inform them about the new government programs which can help them benefit. The State Minister for Veteran Affairs, Honorable Huda Abeson Olero, has advised close to 200 veterans in Ibanda to embrace any government programs that are brought on board to address their challenges. The Minister, Huda, together with the Ibanda Woman MP Jane Bainomugisha, were in Ibanda District at Nyakatukura Primary School.
These are some of the veterans in Ibanda District who served to liberate this country. They appeal to government for more funds to meet their needs. Minister of State for Veteran Affairs, Huda Abeson Oleru, met a section of veterans from Ibanda District at Nyakatukura Primary School.
Uganda has become a stateless country.
You organized it, you sacrificed. Today we are breathing because of your efforts.
Government will ensure that the pension and the gratuity are paid.
During the last verification, we filled forms and we were given papers where to sign for an amount of money. Some signed for 15 million, others signed for 10 million, 13 million. But when they are paying, you find that they have put on your account 2 million. Now I'm asking, how about the rest? Are we going to get it or we have finished?
The time is for the veterans. That's why we are here to handle your issues. Just give us time. You have waited for long. Continue to wait. All your problems will be handled.
The woman member of parliament for Ibanda, Jane Bainomgisha, asked them to embrace the government programs like Emyoga and Parish Modo.
Ojendo okumukore bigombe sente za Parish Modo na niyonjera hava minsache agamba muteke mwamani na mukorechi na ni mukorechi muganyirwemu hawo sente zero 100 million per year in a parish tiyale mazima iwe funa ukale zia kuziriza na zino na government programs muteke mwamani abana somiza abana bingi white collar jobs ninche bantu kunga programs ezo kuzirize as a wealth creation tusikora chi tusteke mamani munonga so that ngati ngomwana amulwa kwa white collar bwani kuisha abana ochaineho.
Veterans also calls up government to avail their pension to help their children attain education.
Now, State Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs, Huda Alero, has promised to push the bill to amend the law that provides for veterans. She was visiting veterans to assess their issues in southwestern Uganda.
Chiwanula Playground in Kamira Sub-County, Luwero District has
State Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs, Huda Aleru, has toured districts of Kisoro, Kabale, Kanungu, Kunjiri and Uganda to assess issues affecting veterans.
The district is made up of 16 local governments, all sub-counties. But here, each sub-county is represented by 5 members, which constitutes the leadership at the sub-county level. Because they are supposed to go against the tax segment. That's not going to be. As we're waiting for the city capital, okay, can you develop a culture? That's how this is.
District chairpersons presented challenges veterans face, including delayed pension and little payment of the veterans, poverty, and discrimination in government programs.
Payments of pensions and gratuity for army veterans is a big challenge, as most of their accounts are closed before they are credited due to delayed payments, and after a long time, new bank accounts which become more costly when they request to open new ones.
Although there have been some improvement mechanisms, with us here we have a regional pensions officer who has tried to do a lot to ensure that claims at least are received and forwarded.
During the last verification, we filled forms and we were given papers where to sign for an amount of money. Some signed for 15 million, others signed for 10 million, 13 million. But when they are paying, you find that they have put on your account 2 million.
The Director, Veteran Affairs, Brigadier Emmanuel Musinguzi, emphasized clear evidence on the cause of disability before compensation. He advised them to form circles.
Training of circle and send the commissioner, rehabilitation, psychosocial support, and the resettlement. You'll carry them through, and then they will know the benefit of being in a circle. Circle is about numbers. The more you are, the better. We have paid 9,000 veterans. This financial year, we are looking for 97. We shall pay another 11,000.
And that will be the end of the program.
Minister of State for Veteran Affairs, Aleru Huda, promised to push the Veterans Bill into law to protect veteran issues.
In fact, it has already gone to Parliamentary Council. We have some few issues that we are handling. Soon it will be tabled in Parliament and we will bring it to... No, first we'll table it in Cabinet and then it will come to Parliament. That one, we are on high gear.
She advised veterans to be part of the Myoga and Operation Wealth Creation government programs. He promised to employ legal officers who will freely work upon their issues to access their pay. The exercise was normally carried out at the district headquarters of each district of Kisoro, Kabale, Kanungu, Rukunjiri, and concluded with Yibanda. Patricia Nakandwe, UBC News.
The Day of the Girl, Uganda has belatedly celebrated the International Day of the Girl. The day is recognized by the United Nations and was on a theme of digital generation, our generation. Let's hear more from John Barnes Centum.
Chiwanula Playground in Kamira Sub-County, Luwero District has hosted the International Day of the Girl. It was reported that the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown exacerbated vices against the girl child that now need urgent attention.
Staying home has exposed them to a lot of problems. Parents, first of all, are overwhelmed staying with their children, and in some communities you find that the parents themselves are the ones marrying off their children, and also there are some men, fathers who are fathers, brothers, cousins, family friends who are really impregnating our girls currently. So I wouldn't say that it's only COVID, but also when you look at the children, the environment that they are staying in is a very big challenge to them. They are not used to such environment.
Proper parenting and guidance, especially during this digital generation, has been advised for both the girl and boy child.
It is very imperative to note that as we promote the rights of these children, the girl child, all children are equal in the law, whether girl or boy. So we should bring the boy child also on board, much as we are aware of the fact that the girl child is more vulnerable than the boy child.
The celebrations were enabled by, among others, Just Like My Child Foundation and Center for the Girl Child.
Well, now, as we still continue, the global outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020 never spared Uganda. However, as a remedy, masks were essential as part of the standard operating procedures to avoid infections. These face masks are made from different materials. Others are reusable, while others are disposable. Environmentalists question how environmentally friendly these masks are to the land due to the recklessness of how people dispose them of.
As health professionals and the government insist that people make use of face masks, it is also equally important to give guidance on how to dispose of or recycle them safely. One of the areas where environmental impacts of COVID-19 are most pronounced is in waste management. This is a major environmental concern because of the surge in the demand for and the use of plastic products, protective gears, personal protective equipment, disposable life support equipment, and general plastic supplies like syringes, all used in the prevention and treatment of the virus. Henry Bazira works with Water Governance Institute, says the need for government to plan for this new wave of waste that is occurring from reckless disposal of face masks needs urgent attention, or else KCC is likely to pay heavily to collect these wastes to designated areas like Kitezi.
Disposable eventually, but the highly disposable masks are creating
a new waste stream. All the masks are creating a new waste stream, which has not been thought about in terms of waste collection and control, but in a manner that is either going to make it recyclable so that we're not wasting material.
According to research conducted by Oceans Asia, a non-profit marine conservation advocacy organization, on average, a person uses 4 face masks a week. This makes it 16 face masks a month, and this translates into over 300 tons of waste a month, as he explains.
You will require about 123 trucks to remove the 307 tons of mask waste in a month. If on average each truck costs us, the taxpayer, 800,000 shillings to pay the workers on the truck per day, to pay fuel, it means that you will require about 98 million shillings, 400,000 per month to clear the garbage in Kampala alone.
Rogers Tumusime, the Bulisa local government environmental officer, acknowledges that as a department, they have not done much to research and come up with the right measures that can be used to stop the negative impacts that are coming with the littering of these face masks in both urban and rural communities because of inadequate resources.
Starting directly from one circle to Butiama, because Bulisa entirely, it is mostly populated along those sites, the landing sites. And when you move around those sites, you will not get designated place or where people are dumping masks, these masks. So we assume most of these, they are ending up being dumped in the lake. So, and it may bring the silting of the lake.
Geoffrey Kemese is the executive director of BioVision Africa, says that the main challenge of these face masks is the access to dispose them of. Much as it was an emergency that caught everyone unawares, it was paramount for the authorities responsible put in place designated areas for this new stream of waste.
It's incumbent upon us as a population or on behalf of the leaders that they come up with meaningful ways and means of managing such a kind of waste. Otherwise, we cannot keep degrading the environment, well aware that the challenge is not going to go off tomorrow. It's something that we are going to stay with.
Hilary Chamanywa is the project manager at Lake Albert Children Women Advocacy and Development Organization, observes that these face masks are not only dangerous to children who play with them after being littered everywhere on different landing sites on Lake Albert, but also pose a threat to the ecosystem of the lake.
Not only are they very dangerous, those ones that have been used by people, then our children also use them, but they also are very dangerous to our environment. See, this is a landing site, this is a water body, so when we just litter everything, then it goes back to the lake. And when it goes back to the lake, it affects so many ecosystems that take place in the lakes.
The commissioner in charge of environmental health at the Ministry of Health, Moses Kavanji, warns the public against using any face mask whose source is not authentic by Uganda National Bureau of Standards.
This organism can take a minimum of 10 days on the surface, but even can go for more. So if you threw a mask and it has spent a few days, probably 5 or so, most probably the organism is still very active on the mask.
Moses also points out that when these face masks are thrown out, they attract dust that contains a lot of other organisms, which is very risky and dangerous to human life.
Generally, the masks are so risky. One, the issue, most important, the issue of spread of disease, not only COVID, in the event that the person who used it had the COVID, but also other organisms that could be contained in the masks.
Report compiled by Peter Agizibwe Arali in Bulisa District.
It's time for us to take a business break and return.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV Valley. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cup competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Uganda, today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185 *7 hash and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
Grow together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN Mobile Money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165 *65 hash or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
And in business, Uganda Coffee's private sector stakeholders are optimistic that the new coffee law will enhance export competitiveness in the near future. This year's price risk management training by Agribusiness Development Center ADC has incorporated teaching coffee farmers, exporters and traders how to leverage this law for better market prices.
ADC's price risk management training has had to evolve to meet various stakeholders' needs, especially coffee farmers, traders and exporters.
It's very important to not to lose money, and it's very important for traders to understand the impact of the risks on cash flows in the organizations, the impact of the risks in the business, logistics, and amidst even this COVID pandemic.
As Uganda enjoys the returns of its best coffee year performance, more emphasis has been put on increasing the quality of coffee produced and enhancing value chain administration.
Because the law is encouraging farmers to take in what is supposed to be done, the measures, the post-harvest handling methods, handle well the coffee so that quality at the end of the day the buyer can appreciate the quality.
We are making sure that the coffee is being certified, we are doing the tracing, and all that once you sell, it fetches an extra amount to the coffee.
The COVID-19 pandemic has affected economies, although Uganda is enjoying the current global price hikes due to low coffee supply by most big players.
For the Arabica, the starting price, the exchange price is around 200 cents per pound. That is about close to $5,000 per ton. It's a very, very high price. For Robusta, it's $2,000.
The new coffee law will require coffee exporters to pay a 2% tax return per container exported.
It was increased from 1% to 2%. Why? Because of two reasons. One, extension services. Two, research. And as we all know in Uganda, you have these authorities that are given all these responsibilities but unable to deliver because they don't have money. So now that this bill provides money for these things, the next thing is, can we hold UCD accountable?
Currently, harvested Arabica coffee fetches about 13,000 shillings per kilogram for the farmer when peeled and 8,000 shillings when unpeeled. And a kilo of harvested and peeled Robusta coffee will fetch the farmer 5,500 shillings. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News.
Still in business, the East African member states are working towards having a common regulatory framework for the energy sector. The Executive Secretary for the Energy Regulators Association of the East Africa, Dr. Geoffrey Mabeya, is holding meetings with relevant energy authorities like the Uganda Electricity Regulatory Authority and Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development.
Since energy is key in major sectors of the economy, the East African member states want to have common regulatory framework to promote energy access and boost industrialization. The Executive Secretary for the Energy Regulators Association of East Africa, Dr. Geoffrey Mabeya, is in Uganda for an engagement with the key energy stakeholders.
The legal portfolio committee that looks at the legal structures. We also have the petroleum portfolio committee that looks at all policies related to petroleum development. We also have another one called the economic portfolio committee that looks at tariffs, the methods of tariff and how to calculate and the comparative analysis on tariffs. And then we also have the other one, which is electricity, that looks at electricity policies, including the grids, and also electricity tariffs as well.
The East African member states are also envisaging having a power pool to increase competitiveness in the region's energy sector.
Using electricity for the region, it's like a market, okay, where you all deposit your electricity like a good in a market. And we shall have guiding policies and frameworks for the power pool. Of course, that one is currently at the interministerial level, but once it becomes operational, we shall develop up to a level where the cheapest producer markets the power in the pool and it is taken off fast.
East African energy regulators are also looking at reducing the utilization of biomass, especially by large consumers like schools, by promoting the use of electricity for cooking.
Informed by a study that we undertook, we tried to find out how much schools spent on firewood. And then we came up with a proposal on how much they will spend on electricity. Of course, we are going to introduce this, but with a favorably lower tariff compared to other tariffs.
Currently, Uganda is striving to increase the demand for energy by implementing the free electricity connection policy. Adia Nakute, UBC.
Now, with Seed for the Soul, the Executive Director, Seeds for the Soul, Reverend Raymond Kaija, has appealed to government for a policy that provides for urban farming so that people can afford food in the urban centers. This was addressed at the Farmers Conference on the new Mungu bean seed in Olero Village, Ngeta Sub-County in Lera District.
Lack of land in urban centers has failed many people to practice farming due to the type of seed that require vast land. The Executive Director, Soul of Seed, Reverend Raymond Kasaija, has appealed to government to integrate urban farming for urban dwellers. He was introducing the Mungo seed.
Mungo beans and the red noodle beans or the long yard beans, but also incorporate in their Operation Wealth Creation programs urban farming practices. These are very, very, very much necessary for our population, especially as the land continues to decrease.
These seeds have been distributed to farmers through Lutheran Church. One of the beneficiaries, Christian Ajok, who won the Best Okra Farmer in 2019, appreciated the intensive in the new Mungo seeds. The Mungo beans of USA cost Uganda shillings 8,000 when harvested. They are fast growing and earn the farmer more income. Lydia Chomkama, Andrew Sebira, UBC News.
Well, let's take another short break and then return with more news. Stay with us. Now, in birding tourism, Ugandans have been urged to preserve the natural resources to enable birds and other species to enjoy the environment. This has been disclosed by activists of birds intending to host the 4th edition of the African Bird Expo in December this year.
Bird watching is one of the fastest growing tourism across the globe and an emerging subsector of the nature-based tourism industry. Bird watchers are one of the biggest spenders in travel and tourism sector, which makes it a profitable venture.
The birders out there understand that we will have enough birding guides when they visit our country. And that's why you see this entire population behind us. They are young people that are being getting professional training on how to do birding.
Uganda has over 1,000 species of birds, with one national regional Albertine habitat endemics and rare birds that international bird watchers wish to add to their life bird checklists.
Birding has not been quite popular in our country is the lack of professional services. Now, there is a significant amount of effort and investment that has been put into professionalizing birding in Uganda. And if you see the team of young people behind us and even on the side there, these are some of Uganda's next best birders.
Stephen Masaba, also a bird advocate, says the African Bird Expo is planned to build a strong, recognizable destination brand that will attract domestic and international bird watchers.
But we all want to conserve and protect natural resources. Obviously, the pressure for wetlands and those other areas is high, but we always consult and inform NEMA of areas that are important for key wildlife species.
Herbert Byaruhanga, the executive director, Bird Uganda Safaris Limited, says there is need to promote awareness of Uganda as a premium birding destination in the world.
We have not sat down much as we've been hit. We made sure that we've been encouraging the birders to be online, showing people the birds that we have. We move around the country, take photographs, have birding activities to let the whole world know that actually, much as COVID has hit the world, the birders in Uganda are not sleeping, they are still going on.
In support and developing the birding enterprise, youth, women and communities have been urged to invest in birding as an economic activity. So that Kai, UBC News.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN.
And on the international scene, as we cross borders over to Kenya, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta on Wednesday lifted the COVID-19 curfew, saying that the national infection rate had declined significantly over the 15 days to below 5%. Kenyatta hailed the country for exercising an amicable and admirable degree of civic responsibility in the fight against the disease and urged them to continue observing the Ministry of Health protocols to sustain gains made towards the full reopening of the economy. The Kenyan head of state spoke at the Wanguru Stadium in Kirinyaga County, some 200 kilometers northeast of the capital, when he led the nation into the celebrations to mark the 2021 Mashujaa Day, national holiday marked in honor of Kenya's independence heroes. Kenyatta said a progress report given by the National Emergency Response Committee on COVID-19 and the National Security Council led to the review of the existing containment measures.
Contracted by an average of 3.6% last year, we managed to grow our economy by 0.3% over the same period, and this year it is projected to grow by 6% despite the ravages of COVID. In recognition of the extraordinary and exceptional nature of the pandemic, The government, as the guarantor for enjoyment of social economic rights, issued targeted responses to the pandemic to cushion Kenyans against the effects of the pandemic. My administration made various policy interventions with a view of putting money in the pockets of Kenyans. This included various tax reliefs, an 8-point stimulus program of some Kenya shillings 56.8 billion, and Kazi Mtaani to cushion our youth from COVID-related unemployment and other vulnerabilities.
It's time for us to look at the weather forecast, and our presenter today is Juliet Alituvera.
Hello there, welcome to today's weather report. I'm Alituvera Juliet from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Wet activities are still going on in different parts of our country, most especially the southern sector and the western sector of Uganda. By 9 a.m. this morning, we received a rainfall report from some stations across the country. Lira reported the highest of 32.8 millimeters, Arua 27.5, Masaka 27.4, whereas Soroti reported 23 millimeters. And from the satellite image taken over Africa, it indicates that the rain belt is over our country and it is contributing to the wet activities that are being experienced in different parts of Uganda, plus the local effect of Lake Victoria. For tomorrow morning, we are expecting sunny intervals in most parts of Uganda, light rains for areas in the lake and around Lake Victoria Basin, plus fog conditions, and this will reduce the visibility on the roads, so drivers should take note. In the afternoon, we are expecting a pickup of thunder showers in different parts of our country, sunny intervals for the northern and the northeastern region, plus some areas in southwestern Uganda. The maximum temperatures will rise to 30 degrees centigrade for the northern and the eastern. Around the lake, we are expecting a maximum of 27 degrees centigrade. Kasese, we are expecting 28 degrees, and for Kabale Highlands, we are expecting a maximum of 23 degrees centigrade. And if you intend to go beyond Uganda, we are expecting sunny intervals in Nairobi at a maximum of 26 degrees centigrade. Tokyo and Moscow, we shall have light rains at a maximum of 12 degrees in Moscow. Cloudy conditions for London, whereas Dubai will be experiencing sunny conditions and a maximum of 35 degrees centigrade. Thank you for keeping us company. Join us for another edition tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much, Juliet Alituvera. And now let's have that recap on our headlines.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
In our top stories, Land Minister Judith Nabakuba stops evictions of over thousands in Mityana. Suspects in the attempted murder of General Katumba Wamala denied bail. And in Kenya, Kenyatta lifts curfew as Kenya marks Mashuja celebrations. And in Beijing, Beijing unveils torch relay plan for 2022 Winter Olympics.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
My name is Patricia Lukoma Mpango. It has been a pleasure. And on sign language, I was joined by Elizabeth Nakakone. Thank you so much for being a part of us. Stay tuned.